Oh, didn't see you there. This is the BYD Atto 3. And unlike some of its more expensive competition, this is not some fancy rolling technical showcase. It's just a family SUV that just happens to be electric. So for EVs to become mainstream, it's cars like this, not some high-end flagship, that need to be successful. But is the Atto 3 good enough? Well, you just have to stick around to find out. The Atto 3 is BYD's first vehicle to be sold in Malaysia, and it's hit the ground running with an electric SUV that slots between the Proton X50 and X70 in size. It's not priced like those two, however. The standard range model is priced at 149,800 ringgit, which is 10,000 ringgit more expensive than the base Aura Good Cat. That's still impressive, given the tech and standard equipment on offer. The one we're driving is the extended range model, which costs 167,800 ringgit. That is actually 2 grand less than the most expensive Good Cat. That's some aggressive pricing from BYD, a company with lots of experience selling electrified vehicles in China. BYD stands for Build Your Dreams, spelled out in quite big letters on the tailgate, which is a bit much. Then again, it's nothing that a flat blade screwdriver and a bit of elbow grease won't fix. Electric vehicle design usually falls into two camps. Cars like the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Mercedes-Benz EQS are futuristic, probably just for the sake of it, whereas those like the Good Cat and the Volvo XC40 EV are more conventional, almost as if the manufacturers didn't want to scare off buyers. You can probably guess which camp the BYD falls into. The Atto 3 styling is handsome if a little bit anonymous, with details such as the full-width hidden taillights, which are all the rage these days, plus neatly styled front and rear bumpers and a slightly bulbous body. In fact, the only noteworthy part about the car's design are the D-pillars, which look like they have fish scales. It's on the inside where the designers have really let loose. The blue leather in this car is loud, and you also have ripples in the white trim that appear to be inspired by either mussels or the underside of a blue whale. You even get these guitar strings in the doors. It all looks a little childish, and it shows a slight lack of maturity, even if everything is well built. There are a few other problems. The air vents look a little unfinished, the rollers to close them sound cheap, and you can't actually point them upwards to your face. And those elaborate door pockets, we can't actually fit anything bigger than your phone. And then there are the window and door mirror controls, which are slanted downwards, making them hard to reach. It's all too easy to open the rear windows when you really just wanted to drop the driver's side. But there are lots of things that BYD has done right here. The driving position is very good. You can get yourself quite low in the car, yet the tall ride height gives you a good view out. And unlike the Good Cat, there are actual buttons for controlling your regen, your drive modes, and the steering assist, instead of these features being buried in the menus. And then there's the Atto 3's party piece. The tech in here is a surprise because it's actually pretty good. You have a 12.8-inch display over here, and it clearly runs an Android system, which is most visible when you use the on-screen keyboard. Unlike many other Chinese systems out there, this one is actually well thought out. All the controls are exactly where you expect them to be, and everything works in a smooth and responsive manner. You can even choose to have split-screen apps, although the only two apps that support this are navigation and Spotify. But the real magic happens when I press this button over here. Look! It rotates into a portrait screen. How cool is that? The Atto 3 also supports wired Apple CarPlay out of the box, which looks excellent on the enormous display. It really looks like an iPad stuck on the dashboard in the best way possible. BYD is also promising wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which it says will be delivered through an over-the-air update in the second quarter of the year. There are still the usual Chinese carmaker problems, however. Apple CarPlay doesn't support rotation, so if you have the display in portrait mode, it all looks a little sideways. And while the language translation from Chinese to English is generally very good, it's still awkward at times. I mean, what on earth is warm tip? And the software is still a bit buggy. We couldn't get the wireless charger to work all the time, and we were also sometimes stuck in Apple CarPlay with no way of going back to the main menu, which is not a good thing because, just like the Good Cat, all of the aircon controls disappear when CarPlay is on. At least the voice control actually works in here. Hi BYD. I'm feeling hot.
Alright, decreasing.
You can open the windows, the sunroof, and you can even rotate the screen. And there's also a menu where you can see all the commands, which you can't do in many other vehicles. The good thing about the Atto 3 software is that the basic interface is solid, and all the small little problems can be fixed through software updates. In fact, during our time with the car, BYD pushed out an update, which took just 10 minutes to install. The one thing that can't be fixed through software updates is this instrument display, which is very small. It measures just 5 inches across. I mean, even an iPhone 13 mini screen is bigger than this one. Sure, you have all your controls over here, but everything's a bit small and cramped. It's not very good. At least the rest of the spec sheet is pretty good. On this extended range model, you get automatic aircon, powered seats, and a panoramic glass roof. You also get adaptive cruise control and lane centering assist for level 2 semi-autonomous driving, all of which work well enough. To keep the price low, BYD has had to sacrifice a few things. There's no touch sensor for the keyless entry, there's just a tiny little button, and it's only on the driver's side. You also don't get automatic wipers or even a hands-free tailgate, which are all things you expect at this price. As we've grown to expect from Chinese cars these days, rear passengers get loads of legroom, although headroom is a little tight because of the glass roof. What's great is that the floor is very flat, which makes it easier to fit 3 adults at the back because the middle passenger doesn't have to straddle a central tunnel. You also get features like twin phone pockets on each seat back, rear air vents and USB ports, and 2 cup holders in the armrests. The boot measures 440 litres, which is respectable but nothing to write home about. What's more impressive is the boot floor, which can be mounted low down for maximum cargo space. Or you can put it further up, freeing up more than enough space to store your charging cables underneath. It also means you get a completely flat load bay when the seats are folded, in which case you have up to 1,340 litres of luggage space. Want more space? Well, tough luck, because the BYD Atto 3 does not come with a front trunk, even though there very clearly is space in here. Why? Still, all that is forgiven the minute you drive this thing. The Atto 3 is powered by a single electric motor at the front, producing 201 horsepower and 310 Nm of torque, which is actually not too bad. In fact, it's quite a bit more than what you'll find in the Aura Good Cat. That means it will get from 0 to 100 km an hour in 7.3 seconds, and it will go all the way to a top speed of 170 km per hour. Those are impressive figures for a family SUV, but the Atto 3 is not a rocket ship, and that's because the throttle has been calibrated for a smoother power delivery. There are actually 3 drive modes available for this car. Eco mode dulls the throttle to the point where it's no faster than your average Myvi, but even in normal mode, the acceleration is gradual rather than sudden, unlike some of the other electric vehicles out there. In that sense, this reminds me a lot about the Volvo XC40 EV. You get a lot of smooth acceleration, and only once you pin the throttle do you get a lot of that power and torque, although obviously this has nowhere near the amount of the Volvo. Now, you can sharpen the throttle by going into Sport mode, and that gives you a far more instant power delivery, and you can actually get some wheel spin in that mode. But as you can probably tell, this isn't that sort of car. Now, the Atto 3 is available in 2 variants. The standard range model has a 50 kWh battery, and that provides a range of 345 kilometers. We're in the extended range model, which has a 60 kWh battery. Now, that may seem a little bit small, but it still manages to achieve a claimed range of 420 kilometers, which is not bad. The reason for that is that this car is very efficient. I'm currently averaging 16.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And even when I was caning it yesterday, I was hitting what, 18? 19? It's pretty good. Today, I start off with around 450 kilometers of range remaining, indicated on the instrument cluster. Now, since then, I went to work, we had to go all around KL to film, we had the aircon running while the car was stopped, and we've been driving around and around Outlandish because I keep messing my lines up. And yet, I still have 310 kilometers of range remaining. That's impressive. As for charging, the Atto 3 is capable of up to 70 kilowatts of DC fast charging. This extended range model bumps that up to 80 kilowatts. That doesn't sound all that fast, but it still fills the battery from 0 to 80% in 45 minutes. The Atto 3 can also be charged at up to 7 kilowatts using an AC wall box, taking 9.5 hours to fully charge the bigger battery. The other thing is that this car is very comfortable, and I don't mean just comfortable for an EV. You see, batteries are very heavy, as you know, and the suspension has to have a certain amount of stiffness to support the weight of all those batteries, and the tires also have to be a bit stiffer. So the fact that this car can do all that without subjecting its passengers to a stiff ride is already good enough. But this car is just comfortable full stop. I mean, go over a bump and you don't really feel anything at all. The most impressive thing is that this car is able to absorb the bumps while keeping a flat ride at higher speeds instead of bouncing around like some other cars with softer suspension. It may well be one of the most comfortable cars I've ever driven, and I've driven a lot of cars. The ride is spoiled somewhat by the amount of noise you get on highways. Yes, it's very quiet in the city, but get up to speed and you realize there is quite a bit of noise coming from these Atlas Batman A51 tires. What a name though. I'm Batman. There's also quite a bit of wind noise coming from the windscreen and the door mirrors, even at around 80 kilometers per hour, which is not that great. As for handling, the BYD Atto 3 is actually pretty decent, up to a point. There's good body control and there's lots of grip considering that it's front-wheel drive. Even when accelerating hard coming out of a corner, it refuses to understeer. You have to really be pushing hard for the stability control to intervene. There are two things, however, that I don't like when I'm pushing hard. The first is the steering. Yes, it's quite sharp, but the weighting is inconsistent, and sometimes in the middle of a corner, it does get strangely heavy, which is quite unnerving. The second thing is that it can get quite bouncy if there are lots of bumps on the road. But those two things only happen when you're pushing this car really hard, enough that you could probably get a speeding ticket. And you're not taking this car to the track, no. You're picking your kids up from school in this. And judged by that metric, the Atto 3's chassis is damn near perfect. The more time you spend with the Atto 3, the more you realize BYD has put in a lot of effort to create a car for a global audience. This is a far more refined vehicle than its nearest rival, the Good Cat. That's immediately apparent the minute you interact with all the tech. The Atto 3 might be more expensive to start with, but make no mistake, this is double the car. Let me put it to you this way. This car is around the same size as a Mercedes-Benz EQA 250. It has more power and almost as much range. It also rides better, and I think it looks way better. And yet, this car costs 130,000 ringgit less. I know we throw words around like bargain all of the time, but this car really is a bargain. Thank you so much for watching this review of the BYD Atto 3. I want to know, what do you think? Do you agree with what I said? And also, for those of you who have ordered one, have your cars been delivered yet? If so, I want to know your experience in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and ring the notifications bell icon so you don't miss any of our future videos. As always, stay awesome. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.